Welcome to Giggle vs. the Maelstrom Arena, Round 7, the Vault of Umbrage. Vault of Umbrage is another one of the more complicated rounds. All of the later rounds tend to have more interesting game mechanics than the earlier ones did, also more deadly ones. Spoilers, I think I died twice in this. So I'll try to talk about the mechanics as they come up. The first one I'll talk about is these little pods that you see here. I'm racing past them under the effect of a movement speed buff. And you saw with the first one, as I got near it, it triggered an expanding red ring. If you stay in the red ring, you get hit with a poison damage over time effect, and it's a particularly nasty one. Regular cleanses won't work on it, so if you have Purge or if you have any powers that throw off damage over time effects, they don't count. You can see I got volatile poison, and there was a green glowing pond in front of me. The only way to get rid of the volatile poison, the damage over time effect, is to step into one of those green glowing ponds. And when you do that, it uses up the pond. The pond will respawn, but it takes a while. So you can't afford to get the damage over time effect on you very often. Obviously, there's more to worry about than just the volatile poison. There's also various mobs coming up, and occasionally you have these venom collar mobs. That's the one I'm fighting now. The venom collar mobs are really fragile, but what they do is, while they're there, they channel an effect that causes the poison pods to pop up all over the place and detonate on their own, even if you're fairly far away from them. So you really need to give priority to taking them out, otherwise it makes the battlefield very difficult to move around without catching a volatile poison, and the volatile poisons, as I said, can kill you very easily. None of the other mobs in this round are really that bad. Really the hard part of the round is the environmental effects, at least on normal mode again. Veteran mode, of course, everything gets harder and worse. One of the simple hard things is even noticing that you've been put under the volatile poison damage over time. If you miss that, if you're not paying attention to it, you can die really easily, and I think that's how both of the deaths I suffer here happen. Archers, as usual, are kind of a pain. They've got the same powers as they do everywhere else. They're annoying for a Nightblade, Magicka Nightblade like Giggle, because the only real defense she has against them, aside from just her base hit points, is Healing Ward. I can't use Annulment or Harness Magicka, the light armor power, because it's just physical damage, and it's a lot of physical damage if you let the wrong effects go off. The other thing about these Argonians that are attacking you is a number of them are Nightblades, so they'll have the Agony power, which is a crowd control that stuns you and roots you in place. That's particularly annoying with the venom collars, because you can wind up getting hit with the volatile poison debuff real easily. And you can see the volatile poison ticks away pretty quickly and for a fair bit of damage. So you can heal through the regular portion of it, where it's just ticking, but you don't want to have to do that for very long. It uses up a lot of resources that you need for other things. Now, you can do what I'm doing and use a major expedition, or a power that grants major expedition, to kind of blow past them, trigger them, but get out of range before it fires. It's a risky maneuver, though, because the actual radius that you can be affected in is significantly larger than the red circle. So you can get clipped by the volatile poison even though you've run through it, even though you've run past the edge of the extent. Again, there's another venom collar. Gotta focus on them and get them to go away, even with the swamp troll there. The swamp trolls are interesting in that, as you can see in there, they rage. And as you saw there, I got out of the circle, but not fast enough. I have the volatile poison debuff on me. So they enrage, they get bigger at about 50%. They're doing a little bit more damage, but it's really not that bad getting through them on normal mode. They have 106,000 hit points. That's a fair amount, but it's nothing completely worrisome. If you've got anywhere near enough DPS to get through Maelstrom Arena, you should be able to deal with 106,000 HP bosses. And there, I died. I'd picked up the volatile poison, but I hadn't cleansed it. I hadn't noticed that I had it. So what you can see is the volatile explosion hit for 38,000 damage all at once. You may note I have 18,000 hit points at the moment, so that's just not going to cut it. There was no way I could survive that, and I'm pretty sure that the explosion will just hit for more than your hit points worth of damage. So essentially, you have to cleanse that. I like to go back to the Way Shrine after I die. It helps kind of reset the brain, gives you a chance to think about what you did. Also, it saves you the cost of a soul gem, which can add up, especially on your early runs where you're going to be dying an awful lot probably. I would estimate that it probably saved me tens of thousands to be going back to the Way Shrine. The nice thing about that particular death was that I died after killing the final mob for round 2. So when I came back in, I was on round 3. So I didn't really lose any ground. The rounds usually start off with some easier to kill, just regular mobs, a few Argonians usually. There'll be Nightblades, so like I said, they'll have Agony, which is annoying, and they'll also have Teleport Strike. So I'd been hit by volatile poison, but I was paying a little bit more attention to it this time, ran into the pool, and cleansed it off. You've got a pool at either end of the arena, either end of the stage rather, so keep in mind which ones you've used, which one's available if you see the poison debuff come in. The Wamasu here is the big boss for this round, but again, he's not terribly bad. He's got a few dodgeable or moves that you can get out of the way of. That's a cone attack. It's pretty easy to avoid. Obviously, the problem is as you're avoiding his attacks, you're moving into range for the poison, and that's what's really going to kill you. So being able to move and pay attention to your surroundings is critical in this. And you can see I've gotten hit twice with the volatile poison. I don't have any pools up. If I get hit with it again, I've got nowhere to cleanse it. Now the pools will come back, so if you do wind up in that situation where you're poisoned, you can see there that the pool will respawn. If you do wind up in that situation, just hold on as best you can. You might get hit with the volatile explosion and die, but you might also have the pool respawn and be able to cleanse it before that happens. In terms of beating the Wamasu, real straightforward. You can see his attacks that he's using. There's the cone breath. There's a sort of PB AoE that he throws out. Don't get hit by them if you don't have to. They're fairly easy to dodge, and just smack him down. There's nothing really special about him aside from the fact that he's bigger than normal and has a different attack pattern than normal. Once he's down, you're back to more Argonians, and they're essentially just more annoying. Dodge rolling, as you saw there, will not get you out of the area of effect for the poison attack, although it might if you're close enough to the edge. But the invulnerability granted by it does not apply. It's green, so there's a Venom Collar up. Got to take them out. Eventually you take down the Argonians. Now you control the spawning rate of the mobs here to an extent. Oop, got hit by volatile poison again. And apparently I noticed it because I ran right to the pool. You control the spawning rate in that each wave won't spawn until you defeat the one before it. So these 3 Argonians don't spawn until you defeat the Argonians that were there previously. And walked right into volatile poison again. It does get easier the more you do this one to pay attention to it. And you can see the problem here is maybe I'm not noticing. No, I figured out I had volatile poison, got to the thing. It's cleansed, I'm okay, but the Venom Collar is there. And I got hit with volatile poison again. And there's nothing I can use to cleanse it. Both the pools are down. I've got 2 of them on me, and dead, and I melt. And that was just a question of running out of resources, running out of options to work with. Basically, to avoid that, just avoid getting the poison debuff in the first place. Make that your number one priority, and make dealing with mobs the second most important thing that you deal with. The other thing, as I was saying, though, is that you control how and when the mobs spawn. So, for instance, the 2 trolls that I was fighting there only spawned once the previous set of Argonians were taken out. In fact, they spawned immediately as I killed the Argonian. So that's something that I could have controlled better. I could have just left the Argonians alive. They weren't doing that much damage, certainly not as much as the 2 trolls were. Leave them alive with just a little tick of health, or basically burn them down with a heavy attack to replenish resources. In normal mode especially, there's no reason to rush. In veteran mode, you get points for completing it quicker, but it's not something you need to worry about in normal mode. Just take your time, make sure you've got the situation as under control as you can. If there's particular mobs you have to worry about, where they're going to do something if you leave them alive for too long, then absolutely take them out. Things like these archers, you kind of want to knock down as quick as you can, because they'll eventually hit you with some fairly awful effects. Yep, that was good. Located the venom collar right as she appeared. Rolling out of the way of the thing. Getting really lucky. Being so close to that venom pod and it not spawning, but eventually it did, and I got hit with the poison. And as you can see, you can afford to get hit a few times. It's not that hard to get the poison off. It's just if you keep getting hit over and over, it becomes very difficult. Afflicted again, running for the pool again, which was fortunately near the venom collar. 2 trolls are a little bit more annoying. I think the worst thing they do is that knockdown, just because it's a little bit more challenging to dodge it, and it can put you in a situation. It can limit your mobility on a stage where you need as much mobility as you can get. They will independently. Nope, didn't manage to escape the volatile poison that time. They'll independently rage, and this is looking bad because I don't have any pools up, and I'm taking the volatile poison damage. Take out that guy, pool respawn just in time, step into it, volatile poison goes away. Now I can turn my attention back to the trolls. They'll independently rage, they'll independently grow. It's not that big a deal. They're fairly easy to deal with, even when they're enraged. It's probably best, I think, to focus on one and make sure that you take them down completely, just because having 2 of them raging on you at a time isn't going to go so well. One note too: if you stand in the pool that protects you, that removes the volatile poison debuff, and a mob stands in there too, I believe they will gain an invulnerability effect. So you don't want to hang out in the pools if you don't have to. So I am moving around a bit here. When I say the trolls aren't too bad, I mean the trolls aren't too bad if you fight them the way you would a serious foe. If you try to just face tank them, you're probably going to get pretty hurt. Movement effects are definitely useful here. And you can see I'm standing in his little poundy circle, and he's not actually doing that much damage. Now that he's enraged, he'll do a bit more, but he's also low enough that I can just take him out with the executes. So that brings us to the final round, and this is where the other new and interesting mechanic shows up. So the first thing you've got to deal with is this Argonian behemoth, and he has a power that will absolutely kill you. You can't survive him using it unless you take advantage of these little minions here. So these Argonian Minders, you kill one, and as soon as you do, the other one will start generating a shield, and the Behemoth will start doing that AoE that hits the entire stage. If you're not in the shield, you will absolutely die. If you are in the shield, you take no damage, and you're free to just continuously pound on the Behemoth. The Minder's not doing any damage to you. The Behemoth's not doing any damage to you at that point, so you can just basically go to town. And that was super fortunate. I got hit with the volatile poison and basically dodge rolled into the pond to take it off. Got hit with volatile poison again. So the reason there's so much of it around is because I'm not taking the venom collar out. So now that the venom collar's down, I'm still left with all of the poison pods that he produced. So I kind of have to fight over on the corners here. So another minion came up. It's time to find the one that I didn't kill. And now I get to do a lot of free damage to the boss. Now, one thing to be really careful of is, apparently, one thing to be really careful of is don't let volatile poison get on you and not clear it. The other thing to be really careful of, though, is you can't let the surviving Minder die. So you have to be very careful about using area effect powers, because if you kill him, his shield will go away, and then the Behemoth's battlefield-wide AoE will kill you. So just a mistake not to make. It's a fairly easy one to avoid. Basically, switch to single target attacks and target the Behemoth. That's probably going to be your best DPS anyways, but you want to avoid using things like an Ice Comet ultimate or a Shooting Star ultimate. Basically, any ultimate that's AoE, because it'll wind up killing the Minder too. That was a mistake. I was trying to clear them out, wound up getting clipped by it. But at least I have a much clearer battlefield now, so that is a tactic that you can use to make your life somewhat easier. Okay, so here's a Minder. We take him down, drop him, quickly get over to the other one, and you've got a little bit of time. It's not an instant death effect. It's just so much damage that you won't survive it well. So they were far enough away that I could use the Ice Comet. That blew away a nice amount of his health. And really, what you're doing with the Behemoth fight is you're just trying to stay alive until the minions show up again. I mean, you can absolutely play it that way, where the only thing you need to worry about is doing damage when the minions are up, and otherwise you're just surviving the Behemoth. There's no reason not to try to do damage to him now, but your primary focus is don't get poisoned, don't let the Behemoth kill you, and definitely don't let those venom collars live. And if you do that, life will go fairly well for you. It's also fairly easy to tell when the minions are up, because they start shooting lightning bolts that are fairly easy to see. I think the venom collars eventually go away on their own too, because I didn't kill that one there and it's gone now. So, but ideally you want to kill them yourself. The less time they're around, the better. Here I'm using a heavy attack to get some magicka back. Again, standard rule of Maelstrom Arena. You need to have enough resource regeneration that you can survive and keep the pressure on the bad guys. For a lot of builds, that's a little bit tough. One of the things that can help, although I'm not using it here, is the new plus health plus recovery food. And there's versions that are plus health or plus magic or plus stamina. But once you get through him, that's all it takes. That's the end of Veil of Umbrage. You get your reward. Jerk of Succession's not bad. The rewards for normal mode aren't end game gear. They're not VR16, but they're certainly better than what you're going to come into it with at VR14. And then on to the Ignis Cistern, which is the next one. See you then.